I'm going to take this one out of the textbook this time. Negative 4 x to the 5th, y to the 3rd. We've got to make it look really tough to make sure we're getting the pattern here. We're going to multiply that. Look at me using parentheses instead of a dot. That's intimidating all by itself. All that stuff multiplied together. When you see problems like this, remember to be careful. Soon we're going to start combining different ideas. It's important here that you notice it's just multiply in between. There's no plus signs or minus signs, are there? That is a big deal. Big, big deal. When it's just multiplication, that's when we have the power to do this. When you look at your numbers, 4 times 3 gives me what? Okay, 12, and I hear that it's negative. Sounds good. Help me out with those variables. You got it. Very cool. So when they're on the same level being multiplied, Chelsea. Absolutely, yeah. You look exactly at what's hanging on to it, and since there's not a number, there's an invisible 1. Yeah, good question. Same thing on the 3 and 4, actually. They have powers of 1. I mean, unless you see it, it's just, there's one of them. So we've learned that if you had something like x squared times x to the 3rd, that's equal to what again? Okay. If you recall, I know we just learned it a second ago, but I want you to remember that while we're learning the next portion of our lesson. So we have that. There's a different situation that could happen, guys. It's actually quite different. Maybe in our memories we should look at something else. Well, I guess I'll save that. It's more fun to save for later. Let's use letters, just for kicks. I'm going to use a Z this time. Let's say then you had a Z cubed squared. Did I just do that? That's hard. At least it looks hard. We're going to learn a shortcut to make it easy, but let's just use the building blocks we've got so far in math. Because remember, if we get those rules good, you can always default back on them. You don't have to memorize shortcuts. You guys know what a power is. Maybe the Z cubed is stressing you out like crazy, but you know that that squared means anything on the inside of the parentheses. How many times does it get stamped? Twice. We don't care what it is. So we have a Z cubed times what? Oh, okay. That's not so bad. Z cubed times Z cubed. We could actually stop here if we wanted. You guys know the rules. They have the same base and powers. What do we get? 3 plus 3 gets me 6. Now, if you wanted to write it out, if you forgot if you were getting the shortcuts mixed up, could you write it out? Could you have written Z times Z times Z times Z times Z times Z? Sure. And then count them? You could always fall back on that. What's your question? Yeah. Yes. That's the shortcut that we're approaching. So go ahead and tell me, what is it? What do you do with the powers when one's on top of the other? Multiply. Okay. So in this case here, what we did, when they're touching each other, we multiplied. When there's space in the middle, what do we do? It's kind of visually pleasing. I mean, because you can think, oh, well, when there's no sign in the middle and they're touching, it's times. So that's what times is the operation that does that, right? And when it's just the space in the middle, there's room to write a plus sign. Look at that. For me, I'll tell you, this is the point in math when I started having trouble when I was a student, because to me there were so many rules. I would get stressed out on a test and say, do I add or multiply? I don't even know. But the way I've always gotten through that, and the way I recommend for you, is until you're comfortable using these shortcuts, prove it to yourself. It only takes one simple example to see the pattern again, doesn't it? You know, x squared plus x cubed. Write out your x's. Count them. Done. Z cubed times z cubed. Write out your z's and then count them. That's how I did my stuff. Even when I was in graduate school trying to prove stuff, if I couldn't remember the rule, or I wanted to see clearly what exactly was happening, kind of the backbone of it, I would pick something really easy. 2 plus 2 is 4. Okay, well, so there's a pattern there. So now that I'm adding really hard stuff, can I draw off that simple pattern? Pick stuff you're comfortable with and reteach yourself the pattern. That's the reason that I prove it to you when I'm teaching it, so that you can remember later. If your brain locks up, you can just use the most basic stuff you know. You guys know what powers mean. You know that no matter what's in those parentheses, it got repeated 2 times. And that example was a z cubed. So go back to the basic if you have to. Now, here's a question. If I had more stuff than just a z cubed in parentheses, here, let's change it. New example. 4z cubed. So same example as before, but now with a 4 in there, squared. There's a shortcut, but first, guys, tell me the literal meaning. What does this literally mean? What times what? You got it. And if you were showing yourself on the test, if you didn't remember the pattern, you would say, oh, z cubed, that's 3 z's, right? Times z, times z, times z, times 4, times z, times z, times z. How tedious. Let's hope we don't have to do this more than one time on the test. Once we see the pattern, the good thing is, you know, they don't tend to change. What's the answer? 4 times 4 is, and z to the what? Huh. So we see the squared happening to the z's. See how that z cubed is being squared? It happened twice. What about the 4? Did it get squared too? Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. So you guys tell me a shortcut. When I have stuff in the middle attached by multiply and a power on the outside, if I don't want to write it out, what all is going to get squared? Everything, even the number, even the 4. Okay. So the 2 goes to the 3, and it goes on the 4. So it's the same as 4 squared, z cubed. I'll use parentheses here just to make it pretty, z cubed squared. So I take that exponent on the outside, and I share it to both pieces on the inside, even the number part. Okay. And like Brittany pointed out, 3 times 2, oh, it's 6. We could have been done with this so fast. We've got a 16 z to the 6. Perfect. Good. Except it is Brittany, right? Okay. I still second guess myself because I had you and Amber mixed up for so long. Okay, good. How you guys feeling? Let's see if I can trick you. Okay, I won't trick you, but I will do this. I'll give you another one that's similar. I'll save the tricks for later. Let's add some A's and B's in here. This is an example from your textbook. The cool thing about exponents, FYI, is it doesn't matter so much the order of stuff. If you have multiply everywhere, this thing's friendly. We know that multiply doesn't care about order, does it? So if I could combine stuff on the inside, I could do that. Or if I wanted to take the outside and share it, I could do that. There's so many, that's why it's like a puzzle. I'm so bad at puzzles. It's why it's like a puzzle, because there's several ways to do these. Just check your answer. Your brain may do it a different way than someone else's. This particular one, there's not a lot of options. But I'll show you one in a second where there's more options. With this one, guys, what do you think? What should we do first? Oh, so you're saying cube the 2? So the first thing we're doing is sticking that 3 on everything, right? We're going to share that. Let me give a visual of that, Jennifer, and then we'll do the 2s like you said. So I'm going to put the 3 on the 2. Then I have a cubed. Let me not write the parentheses. I don't want to bug people with that. A cubed cubed. B to the 4th cubed. Do you guys like the parentheses, or is that going to, is it driving you nuts? I'm putting them back. I think it looks horrible. I thought it would look better. I was wrong. 2 cubes, what do we get? A cubed cubed. They're touching each other. Are we multiplying or are we adding? Multiplying, okay. And you got to think about the fact that it's going to be big. It's a power to a power. It's like a double snowball. It's big, big. Multiply to get big. 3 times 3 gives me A to the what? 4 times 3 gives me B to the what? You got it. Well done. Cool. I'll back it out to the author and make a nice hard one. Let's see if I can do it. Let's